Welcome to Down and Dirty tonight. We've got Dennis and Ridge and Jenny from Fair Valley Performance. We're going to show a little video from them. Get started. I've got some friends from the Netherlands here that were at your shop this morning, Dennis, and they were ended up at our farm, and I corrupted them. They were good guys till then.
Right.
Took them to the winery and took them around the farm. We had a good time. So
Awesome.
they're going to be here to talk a little bit at the end about Farley, Iowa. They were there and a little bit what went on there. But we've got like a half-hour video for you guys, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
And then guys, save your questions for the end at 7:30. It's about 7:30. We'll have question and answer, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So
So we're going to be broke off into 4 sections then, right, Greg, for the next 4 weeks?
Yep. We've got the next 4 tonight and 3 more weeks. A half-hour opening and show up of your guys' video, right, Ryan?
Yep, they'll break down to about 30-minute sessions.
Right, and then we'll be talking about upcoming events after that and previous event or whatever. But we've got a very interesting show for you guys. I mean, there's a lot of neat stuff that I seen there. And he lives 2 minutes from me, and I don't even know he does that stuff.
Right.
All top secret stuff.
Well, we don't let you in all the time, Greg. So
Yeah.
Right.
we lock the doors.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you
We'll
want
get
to
that.
start the video, Ryan, and everybody, please save your questions. It really helps at the end if you have questions for these guys, and they're here to answer them, right?
Right on.
Yep.
Right. So we'll move on with the video, and anything you want to ask, Dennis and Ridge and Jenny, you're good to go.
Mhm.
Right. All right. I'm at Fair Valley Performance. Got inside the building here with Dennis and Jenny and Ridge of all people.
Absolutely.
They're going to show us some of their top secat stuff here, right?
That's right. Well, we covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we
out
catch
there.
a lot. We
Yeah,
had
no,
a quick
we knew we were
scramble.
coming. Yeah.
Right, you hide everything when I get here. That's why I can't win. All the other guys get the good stuff. The neighbor does not get anything.
We have a special pile just for you.
A pile.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I only live 2 minutes from Dennis, and Dennis and I have been classmates since kindergarten, right?
Right.
Long time, man. Live 2 miles away, yeah. Good dude. So I'm gonna let Dennis introduce some of his people around here and tell you a little bit about their history, and we'll go from there.
You bet. Sounds good. But appreciate everybody coming, stopping by. We're looking forward to this tour. We were actually the very first tour, I believe, right, Greg?
One of them, the first business tour. We did a couple farm
Yep.
tours.
Okay.
Yep, but the
Got
first
it.
business.
And I
Yep.
don't even know what that had to be a couple of years ago at least, or
Yep.
in that range. But anyway, so it's been a while. And when Greg brought up the idea, after I thought about it more, I said, let's do it during the day when everybody's here, so we can introduce the team, the FVP team. Not just me. It's all about FVP is the team, and that's why I suggested come during the day when everybody's here. We can give you a tour of the shop while we're active, while people are here. We'll introduce you to everybody that's here, and we're looking forward to that. So I guess that's where it's at. I guess when we're done, in conclusion, we can talk a little bit or whatever. So.
Yep. And remember, send in questions all during the show for guys. We'll be on and we'll be able to answer them at the end after the video portion of it. So send questions in, guys. So,
Right on.
all right. I'm with Maddie here at the front counter. She answers the phone. And at the end of the show here, she's going to have a test, and everybody's got to spell her name. So pay attention to what it is, and we're going to have a prize for who gets it right. We ain't going to have to give a prize away. So here you go, Maddie. Tell us what you do here.
Hi, so Madeline Thostenson. I go by Maddie, it's just a little easier. I am the technical sales representative here at FVP. So I handle, as you may guess, the technical side of the diesel components that we offer and service and continue technical support. So I mainly deal with the walk-ins, first of all, any walk-in customers local in the area, minus the guys that drive out here from New York, Maine, etc. My main duties are managing the front, making sure we're staying up on our calls, not falling too far behind. We do struggle with a high volume. We actually looked it up this morning, and we have a total of 6,487 customer accounts, and a lot of those are shops. So volume's a big deal, but we try to get back to everyone as quick as we can. and I mainly deal with quoting, helping you guys get the best setups, and technical questions, support. You know, we don't just sell you parts and send you on your way and say have a good day. It's a lot of follow-up, a lot of questions on the little things that are important, the right hose sizes, fittings, making sure everything gets plumbed in correctly so you don't have problems. Yeah.
And I'm gonna say I've been here at the counter and listened to her talk to customers, and she knows her crap, guys. So listen up. You don't have to get through her to talk to Dennis. She's gonna know it. If you don't know, you'll ask Dennis, right?
I'm not afraid to reach out for help.
Right,
if I need it.
but you've been very good with the customers. I'm here a lot, you know, so I see what you do, and you do know what you're doing, and I never would have believed that. But what did you do
either.
before this?
Before working at FVP,
Yeah.
I was actually spent most of my career in the service industry, as far as mainly bars, a lot of bartending. I actually ran a craft cocktail restaurant and bar for about a year before I came here. I spent a little bit in the trucking industry, learned how to get you guys on your way with the trucks and BOLs and all of that, but yeah,
Very good. And you still tend bar once in a while. You're my favorite bartender.
yeah.
I'm only saying that here to get ratings.
Oh, he knows he gets his beer first.
Yep.
But no, I don't know. It just,
You caught on to it really quick from what I see. So I mean, you must enjoy what you're doing.
I love it, and it helps being able to talk to people one-on-one. Most guys, it took a little while to get them to let me help them, because I'm not Drew, I'm not Dennis, I'm not the guys they know that have been here for a really long time. But now it's kind of fun. Guys will get through to Drew and ask for Maddie, and that's kind of cool.
There it is. Yep.
But yeah, it's just
All right.
been, it's been a great learning curve, I guess. And I've got a lot of great teachers. And it's not just riddling something off and giving you an answer. Like if I go to Drew with a question, he stops and he breaks it down. We go through every individual piece, whether it's a question about a part inside of a pump that I need to understand why we have these two options. Why are we choosing this one, not that one? And he will break it down so it makes sense. And that helps me help you guys better.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. When we have a question, we'll be back.
Perfect.
So thank you. We have Carolyn here, which is Dennis and Jenny's niece. You said you used to do daycare here.
Yeah, Jenny watched me when I was little, and now here we are, full circle.
She taught you everything she knows?
Yes.
You're right out front.
Oh, yeah.
All
Yep.
right. What do you do?
I am Carolyn Bradnick here, and I take most of the incoming calls. I gather the information from our customers and assist with them in many ways, whether it's asking Dennis a question right away or taking the information down and sending it to our queue and getting it over to them. I also am assisting with greeting the front counter for the customers that walk in. Yes, Maddie is here too to help me. But I also, with going to school at MATC, I got a marketing degree, so I also help with the marketing department here at Fair Valley Performance.
So you keep up with the website or the
Yeah,
stuff
the
like
website,
that, right?
Facebook. Yeah, I
Good.
mean, Facebook is a big thing. We're trying to really push that and post on there because,
Right.
as most of you know, Facebook is the biggest place for all the news and all that.
Well, I see a lot of Fair Valley Performance. The guys have been here 10 years, 20 years, 30, 25
Yes.
years, you know.
Yeah.
You see posts. I think as an employee, they appreciate that, I would think, and the customers all appreciate it to
Yep.
see what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. We started doing that, honoring our employees with their anniversary dates, because you don't realize how many people. We've been in business for 18 years, and we still have our first customer here, which you will get to meet him later on in the video.
I thought I was the first customer.
Oh, first employee. Oh, can we
Oh.
start over?
No, that's all fine. They used to have a data logging system. I had the
Yes.
first one. I was probably the last one to get rid of it. I mean,
Yeah.
we had it for 20 years. It worked great, but we had to move on because parts were hard to get for what we had.
Yes.
So, all right, we're gonna move on to the back and see what the guys
Yes.
are doing.
Good luck.
It's more fun out here in front with the girls. I'll
Yep.
tell you that. Right. We're here with Christopher Clark, which is one of our Badger State announcers too, and his main job is here taking care of Dennis and making sure he covers his butt for him. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, my name's Christopher Clark, and here at FVP, I assist on the phone with product sales, work with product R&D, marketing, assist with the service department, and kind of help make connections between some of our service jobs, the customer, the service department, and selling new items as well. And as of just recently, helping with the Billet Sigma injection pump program as well, Greg.
There you go. Perfect.
And besides here at FVP, I, like Greg mentioned, heavily involved in truck and tractor pulling outside of Fair Valley. I'm the president of Southwest Wisconsin Tractor Pullers Association, where we have about 15 events and around 85 competitors in our club here in Wisconsin. Also announced for the Badger State Tractor Pullers, and it was you, Greg, that one of my first starts I actually took over so you didn't have to announce. If you remember
Right.
when Jason Schultz didn't, he double booked one night in Sauk City. He double booked, and you were actually going to have to announce.
Right. That would have been terrible.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I've done it.
maybe
I've done it. I might have to do it in Mackville the way it's
yeah,
looking.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. So you get to announce from time to time, but it was a fun night. I just was, for some reason, hopped up. Somebody suggested, why don't I go announce, and you let me do it, and that was, I don't know, Greg, that was probably 12 years ago at least. So I have about 12, 13 years of announcing in the sport. I get to announce at Rockwell at the NTPA Grand National event in Rockwell, Iowa. I enjoy doing that. I announce at the Lucas Oil Raceway, the drag strip, every year. So I do a lot of Badger State announcing as well, and involved in pulling 24/7.
Right. Right. But you love it, right? Or you
Yeah,
love it.
yep,
There you
definitely
go.
passionate about it. Enjoy our customers at FVP. We have a lot of great customers, new customers all the time, long-time customers that we get to work with. So that's really a special part of my job.
Yep. Perfect. And you make a lot of connections when you're out as president of the club and announcer for Badger State, and you get to go
Yeah.
in the pits and talk to a lot of guys and get their
Yeah.
ideas and input on stuff.
Yeah, it's fun to see our competitors compete. For one, I'm a fan first and foremost, so getting to see not our customers and other customers compete is great, and then getting to see how our products do, being involved in some of the R&D side of things here, and then see how they compete on the track and how they get to find the winner's circle often is take a lot of pride in that.
Good. Good. And you learn a lot in the pits talking to guys too, right?
Yeah, that's
I think
definitely
you do.
that's it's a great aspect. Not only you get to learn about them personally and their families and their passions, but you get to learn more about their vehicles, and then get to relay that message on to the fans. Like out in Rockwell, when there's thousands of people in the stands, they get to kind of relay some of that insider information from here at the business or here in the pits, and get that to the fans, so the fans are more educated. They're having a good time, and everybody's enjoying truck and tractor pulling.
Right. And you also get to help market Fair Valley's stuff at the events. That's always good. For business, right?
Yeah, and that's where if any pullers have any questions on things, you see me out and about this summer, be sure to stop and say hi and ask about what we can do to help you make some more power.
All right. I'm sure we'll see you through the rest of the tour here at some point.
Yeah, I'll be
Okay.
back later in the tour. I'll be back in the shop area where we're going to talk about a little bit about our brand new Billet Sigma injection pump program.
All right. And then we might get to talk to turbo specialist Ridge.
Yeah.
He's been a turbo
Ridge,
specialist since he was 12, I think.
Well, yeah, he's special in some ways, I guess.
Right.
So we'll find out all of his specialties here later.
Right. Specialty. All right. All right. We'll see you a little bit next with Gary, machinist. I've worked with you for a long time because you used to be at Trimark, and you were up there. I mean, and you were at Rick Kipley's before that too, right?
Yes, sir. My name is Gary Ryder. I've been with Fair Valley for the past 11 years. I manage the day-to-day operations here, trying to arrange the workflow, as well as keep myself busy with all the mill and lathe and grinding operations that we do. So it's very much a hands-on position. And like you said, I've been involved with the racing and cylinder heads in particularly for the past 30 plus years, starting right out of high school. So
Right.
it's been a progression.
Right. So my first motor was built at Rick Kipley's, and you were there. My first diesel motor, and,
Yep.
and Rick kind of got his feet wet in that, but he stuck with the V8 stuff a little longer.
Yeah, we started with the big Arius and Donovans for the gas style and the alcohol pulling tractors and trucks, and it's been a progression. Like I said, through the circle track ranks, and now into the diesel pulling world. So
Right. Stuff's a little bigger and heavier here to move around, right?
you bet that it is.
Yeah. You enjoy the machining and the stuff and seeing the success. And not everything works, right?
Yeah, not everything works, but there's a lot of good ideas between all the individuals here. We try to come up and try to put our best shot at it. Whether it's just making the fixture to actually machine the part, or actually making the part. You know, it's machining side of it to me is my interest. So it's always been my interest.
Yep. So you have a think tank. Is that the think tank up there where you guys all together and come up with great ideas, or what do you do?
It can happen at any time. It can happen in a hallway. It can happen in a break room. It can happen in a meeting. It can happen just about anywhere. It's hey, what if we try this? And we do our best to try and bring that idea to life. So.
Well, you guys are doing a good job, and you know it's good to get stuff out on time too. You know, one thing I've known you do the machining and stuff, and I you know, a lot of people. Hey, we're waiting on stuff, and if you guys have the parts, you get it out on time. And that's a good reputation to have.
Our goal in the machining department is to make sure that nobody here that is building the pump is waiting on us.
Yep.
So that's our goal, and we've been, knock on wood, we've been keeping pace so far this year.
Okay, good. That's hard to do.
Very much.
Yep. Especially if you come out with something new and then everybody wants it again, right?
Exactly. Yep. Well, that's the industry, you know.
That's right.
If you're standing still, you're not moving forward.
Right.
So.
You got to go farther and faster.
Exactly.
Right? Yep. All right. We'll probably see you around the shop here. We'll be milling around and checking everything out.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, Brandon, we're at your station. Why don't you tell us all of the great things you do?
All right, so I'm Brandon Feiner. I basically work with the nozzle, intermediate plate, and the bodies of an injector. So like with the nozzle itself, I will do lifts and tips on the pintle. I'll put a sack in and I'll dual feed it. Then I will dual feed the bodies and intermediate plates and enlarge some of the fuel holes to make it bigger so they go through more fuel and all that.
So more fuel gets to the tip in the pintle and where it's supposed to go out, right?
Correct.
So it has enough fuel. You're making sure you're using everything you can there.
Yep.
And then how long have you been here?
Just over a year.
Just over a year. Where are you from?
I'm from in between Plain and Spring Green, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I know some Finers down there. Yep. So I didn't know your last name was Feiner.
Oh yeah.
I learned some here today too. So, you know, throughout the day, how long does it take you to to get one injector ready to go? I mean, it takes quite a bit of time, right? And
with these we have to indicate because every nozzle is different, basically, because how they're made. So everyone is different. So it's a couple thousandths difference, but you gotta.
Well, like if you remember the hold down that Ridge showed us a little while ago, that'll hold because you have to indicate it that you can't just stick the nozzle in at any angle.
No,
because it has to. The nozzle might go in at an angle like this, but it has to spray an even pattern everywhere. So each port in the nozzle, what I want to say, is not angled the same as the other ones. You know, but you need that. It all has to spray in the center of the piston, right? If you turn it a little bit, you for sure burn pistons.
Yep.
Your fuel will get outside the bowl.
Yep.
So it's a pretty important job to have that all right, because some guys are going to say, "Hey, I keep burning pistons. What's going on here?" Right?
Exactly.
If it isn't right,
Exactly.
Then they'll be back and they'll talk to Dennis. You can tell him it was his fault. So he told you the wrong thing, right? No, but yeah. So great talking to you, and pretty neat job you have there doing it. You like it?
Oh yeah.
Like it? Interesting? So,
Yeah. After college, it got me into it. After getting with the Lemke boys.
Okay. You went to the
MATC.
MATC? Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. The machinist or
Machine tool.
machine tool? Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
2 years?
2-year program.
Yep. That's good. We need more of them. Trump's going to start paying for them. Did you see that? So I don't know.
That'd be nice.
It would be. All right. Thanks. We will talk to you soon. All right, we're with Ridge. You used to be the turbo specialist.
I used to be back in the day. I've moved on from that. So
moved up into better things.
Yeah, I think I was promoted, but I don't know. They don't tell me that. So
did the pay reflect it?
So a little bit. Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, I'm Ridge Fry. I'm Dennis and Jenny's son. I've been involved with the business. I've been around the business since day one, obviously. I'm involved in the CNC and EDM machining area that we have here. As far as, kind of stuff that I do nozzle spray holes, burning feed passages and injector bodies. Making billet injector bodies, injector hold down clamps, and just stuff like that. I'm also pretty heavily involved in our R&D program that we have here as far as designing new billet cam shafts for injection pumps, new spray angles for new cylinder head designs or new injector designs, and also any other, drawing or anything that needs to be done. I'm pretty good at the CAD software and the CNC stuff too. I'm involved in the programming for that as well. So.
And you went to trade school in Green Bay.
Yep. I went up to Northeast Wisconsin Technical College up in Green Bay for 2 years and learned a lot there. And actually before that, of course, in high school, I worked in just a little machine shop that they had there, and it was good, but it doesn't do justice obviously until you go to a college where they have the latest and greatest equipment. But then before that, I worked for Dennis Mahoney for a couple of years when I was in high school. The last 2 summers of my high school, I would actually go over to his shop that he had and just kind of work for him. Because obviously, my dad knew that I had an interest in the machining trade, so Dennis Mahoney kind of knew that we were going to be buying him out, so he took me on and then kind of took me under his wing for a while and just kind of started teaching me the ways, and I don't know, the rest is history. So.
Yep. Right? As long as you don't have to work on Sunday, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's Sunday fun days. It's not Sunday work day.
Right.
So it doesn't.
Sometimes Dennis forgets that.
I know.
Boss,
Sometimes,
right?
yes,
Yep.
correct.
Yep.
Yeah. But no, it's good. So we're plenty busy, and I enjoy it here. I enjoy what I do, especially it's something different every day. Which is nice. We're not doing the same thing over and over again. We're not doing a run of 1,000 parts. We're doing lower number parts and coming up with new parts to make, and it keeps it interesting.
Yep.
So, which is good.
Why don't you show us some of the stuff you're making here?
Absolutely.
Take a look at it. Yeah, what do you have here, Rich?
Okay, yeah. So just a few things that we have here. We have quite a bit more than that, but just kind of the basics. So this would be like a billet injector body. So we make these from scratch. So take a piece of round stock, turn down the diameters, mill the flats, the feed passages and all that. So we make that here in-house. Also on our wire EDM machine, we make our hold down clamps. So we actually drill a plate in our mill, drill all the holes, and then we take them over down to our other shop where our wire EDM machine is. We wire the outside and we actually wire in the square. So then, then you have your clamp that goes on your injector body, orientates it where it needs to go. So
You've never messed that up, have you?
We just don't talk about that.
Okay, we don't talk about that? All right.
Yeah. But anyway, then this is actually something new that we have this year. This is actually a case AKD in billet injector body. So cores are getting pretty hard to find for these. So we just took it upon ourselves. It's like, you know what? Let's just make it ourselves. So this is a new product that we have this year. Yeah, also we have, I just kind of wanted to show here just some of the nozzles that we do. So to our far left here, this is a Bosch DLLA nozzle. That's what we would use in our 21 millimeter billets. That's what we used to use. And not that long ago, we actually have custom nozzles made for us that are proprietary to us. They are, if we just look at, like, this is a stock nozzle here where you have one feed passage, stock pintle, all that kind of stuff, and we have our custom nozzles made. We actually have them. We actually have 3 feed passages in them, so we get them made like that. We have DLC coated pintles, so we don't worry about nozzle sticking.
What's a DLC coating? What is that?
So that's diamond-like carbon. So it's basically a very hard material, and it's like slick. Yeah. So it just you don't stick anything. Like all of our injection pump, our plungers are DLC coated, so we don't worry about sticking plungers nearly as much as we used to anymore. Not saying it can't ever happen, but that's really helped out that. And then actually this is a new nozzle that we have made to our far right. This is what we call our V3 nozzle. So this is an 11 millimeter shank nozzle. It's actually 250 thousandths longer than an OEM Bosch nozzle would be. And actually this DLLA here, this is 100 thousandths longer than a stock Bosch DLLA. And then this is our V3 nozzle, which is actually 150 thousandths longer than that. So for the guys that really want to get their injectors in deep in the cylinder head, we have a nozzle for that if they want to get timing up. And also too, everything like internally on the nozzle itself, it's larger compared to a stock nozzle. And the one to the far right is actually even larger yet. So they flow, they're high flowing nozzles, and they work really good.
So you're talking about the pintle inside the nozzle. Tell us what the pintle does.
So basically you have your pintle. So I guess I wish I had an injector body here, but you would have, or a full injector, but you would have an intermediate plate here, and then that would actually angle the holes down to the nozzle. And then inside the injector, you have your spring in there. You have a spindle in there, and that spindle it compasses around what we call just the stem here. And once you put that in there, it compresses it, and then once you pressurize the injector, all the fuel is going down through the nozzle to the bottom, and there's a little chamfer down here. Once it pressurizes that enough, whatever you set the opening pressure of your injector at, that pushes up the pintle, and it lets the fuel go down through the nozzle, through the spray holes, into the combustion chamber.
Okay.
So.
And your injection pressures get pretty high. What is the most,
Usually, I would have to say around like 20,000 psi, for mechanical. So.
Right.
And just whatever you set your opening pressures at, like a P pump, you're around 4,500 psi. That's when it opens. But then after that, whatever the pump is pushing through, it's going through that.
It's going to go right once it opens up.
So, and obviously with that, we have different spray holes. Obviously the more fuel you want, you're going to want different size or a larger spray hole. To let that fuel get through the injector into the combustion chamber.
Right.
Just all depends on setup. So.
And spray angles mean a lot too, right? Because you got to get it right. So you don't want it outside the bowl, because what happens if it gets outside the bowl? We've all done it.
You burn pistons. Yep. And then we hear that. You want to get that spray angle just right and get the timing right, so you keep that spray pattern right inside the bowl of the piston.
Right.
So and we have multiple. Actually, we'll go over there and I'll kind of show you. We have multiple different cylinder heads, cutaway cylinder heads, that we use. So I can kind of put a mock-up injector, if you will, in there. Measure where the spray angle needs to go, and then with that, I put it in my CAD program, and I can basically put the spray pattern where it needs to go on the bowl of the piston, and fine-tune things. So.
And the goal of getting the injector down in the bowl is so you can run higher timing.
Yep, correct.
And higher timing means more power usually.
Yep, usually it does. So especially the larger applications, you want to get that injector in as deep as you can, and especially the higher RPM applications. So you want to run more timing. So
all right,
well, that's what we've seen.
We'll move on to the next station.
Yep. I'm not sure if I said AKD or AKN, but these are AKD bodies. And then also peak pressure, Dennis told me, was around 15,000. So yeah. Anyway, that's a revision in the video.
Yeah, we didn't want to look stupid.
No, I didn't want to look.
We'll correct it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. All right. There you go.
Yeah.
So we'll put that in there. All right. Thanks. So Ridge, what do we have here?
So kind of going back to the spray angle design. So like I mentioned, we have cutaway cylinder heads. So we have various cylinder heads from different engine models. And just one cylinder, like for example, International, we can drop an injector in there and just basically, the biggest thing is figuring out, at first when we have that figured out, is like the injector tilt, is it a compound angle? Is the injector offset in the bowl, and stuff like that.
Right.
And then once we figure that out, then I can kind of go into my CAD and figure out spray angles. And then once I figure that out, make a sample nozzle, drop it in the head, and just make sure that it's where it needs to be.
Right, and you don't want to lift all 6 cylinders ahead. You only need one.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Carry
exactly.
It around. Yeah.
So
you get old faster in this business, Ridge.
Yeah. Exactly. Right.
Yep.
But then, like over here, for example, we just have a cylinder head here, and kind of like once we get done with it here, we'll put the injector in there and just kind of put pins in it and just kind of measure from there.
Right.
And once we do that, that's good. And then we have a new spray angle. The amount of spray angle codes that we have, we have, that's just over 100 different spray angle codes, for just different makes and models, and different, if you want a flatter angle for an application or a tighter angle, just depending on what they got. So,
So when you're talking protrusion for an injector, that would be coming out. I'm thinking that's the
sticking
injector
out
hole
of
right
the
there.
injector hole there. So
What you do is you measure, you stick it in there, and you see how far it's
how
sticking
far
out.
it's sticking out, and and a lot of that too is like, okay, well, how, some people don't have as deep of a bowl piston as others, so you have to be really careful. It's like, hey, I mean, like we said before, it's like people want to get the injector in as deep as possible, but you got to have the right pistons to be able to do that. So sometimes if it's like, okay, we can put these injectors in as deep as we can, but if your bowl isn't deep enough, then your nozzles are going to be kissing the bowl of the piston, and that's not a fun day.
Yep.
So
And most guys want them right down in there.
they want them as deep as they can go, so right there. But
And the thickness of the washer makes a difference. I mean, you
thickness
can.
of the washer, the head
Yeah.
gasket, just
Yeah.
all stuff like that. It's
Has the head been milled? How many times? How much have you
Exactly,
taken off
yep.
the head? That'll change a lot
Yep.
of stuff.
So
you
that's
know?
where if the guys have their heads off, it's just like, hey, we'll send you an injector, just measure how much is sticking out and how deep is the bowl of your piston, and especially if it's something like a new program, it's like, hey, okay, you have this cylinder head, we want your piston,
Yep.
So it's like, you can tell us what you want, but it's just nice to have the actual physical piece there so we can take our own measurements and then just figure out where spray angles need to go.
And a lot of engine builders build their pistons different.
Yep.
So you don't, you might have this injector and works in all these heads, but you're getting your pistons from this guy,
Yep, exactly.
and he did it a little different. That's
you got one guy that's running so-and-so cylinder head, but then he's running so-and-so's pistons, so combinations could be different, so all that needs to be figured out on the phone before we send something down and say, here you go, bolt it in and go.
right. And some guys want even if you know the guy that made the pistons, some guys will take them off on the side and think they know better. More compression, less compression, make them bigger, lower, whatever.
Yep.
And they'll change them and not tell anybody about it.
Exactly. Yep. It's all about combination and trying to get everything measured so everything fits perfect. So.
Yep. So you got to do a lot of research. You just can't throw
There
stuff
is.
in.
Nope, it's not a matter of going to Walmart and taking it off the shelf and throwing it in. It's a little bit more than that.
And you have guys, you send stuff to dynos and say the guys say it worked great, or it didn't work, and it might be the difference, the bowl and the piston might be the problem.
Yep. And that's why we have different. If it's like, hey, if you got a wider bowl piston, hey, we can go with a flatter angle or narrow and whatnot, because one set of injectors might make great power on one, but then you can send that same exact set of injectors to another guy and then they make less power than what they had, and it's like, well, it's all about combination. So that's where we need every piece to the puzzle matters, and we need to know so that we can offer the best product we have available. So,
Right, and when you measure that, do you spray it, if you get the guy's piston in his sleeve or something and put it on the head, and you spray it on top of the piston to see the pattern, or how do you do it?
I just basically take measurements, and like I said with my CAD, I can kind of just basically put, I can stretch out the spray pattern and see where it's going, in relation to the edge of the bowl of the piston.
See, in the old days, we used to have to spray it and run the motor and then pull the head off and say, ooh, it's good or it's bad, or and then you're guessing how much farther in or out we had to go with them.
Yeah, well, that's just because you're old, Greg.
Right.
So
that's the only way I know how to do it.
Yeah, right.
The old way.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. We'll go see your next trick.
Sounds good.
There we go. There we go. Words of wisdom from Ridge.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Didn't realize it went that long.
It was the Ridge Fry show.
right.
What are we doing
You
here?
should have had a time limit, Greg.
I know.
Yeah.
Kept asking.
Star of the show.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
You knew the answers.
Do you have anything that you want to change or add to any of them? I want to say benches, each bench or tool, each guy's thing that maybe they missed a little bit of. Are you good?
Well, the one thing that we didn't really explain, or Ridge, which we kind of avoided that a little bit, as far as how we increase the spray holes, our procedures, things like that, which is kind of secret on what we do, but that's a big part of it. As far as the machines that we have, we really didn't focus on that, obviously, and so a big part of what you're doing is, and then it's not only figuring out the spray angles, and then it's actually to implement it and to put them into the nozzle.
Yeah.
And being able to fixture the nozzle and be able to, each individual spray angle has to be done properly. And so that's the trick of the trade. And then not only that, with our EDM drills that we have, it's the proper settings
Yep.
The prop, it's what do you call it? Feed and speed.
Yeah, it's basically
You know.
the power settings on it, because with us, it's like if we do a 5x25 nozzle, it's going to be a 25 thousandths hole. It's not going to be a 24. It's not going to be a 26. It's going to be a 25 thousandths hole.
And the quality of the hole is going to be is perfect. And I have seen some nozzles out there that come in that we freshen up or whatever that may not have come from here and not, but we see some poor quality, spray hole work.
All right.
And ours is, and that's a big part of it. And the whole idea is the spray atomization. And so we need to keep that spray hole as clean and sharp as possible. So we don't have eroded holes. It's got to be sharp edges. And that's what atomizes the fuel. And that's a big part of it. So, we have probably on the average 2 guys doing spray holes all of the time.
Yep.
And that two full-time guys doing spray holes. And even, I can't remember if you touched on it, the long shank nozzles that we have custom made, we actually, we order them just with 14,000 spray holes. And then we increase the spray hole size and the angles to what we want. So, we can use that nozzle for multiple different applications.
Yeah.
Something that like Columbus Diesel, and that's kind of where we acquired that vendor from Columbus Diesel. That's no big secret. They had the best nozzles out there at the time. I remember when we were competing against Columbus Diesel, and when we bought Columbus Diesel out, we acquired that vendor, and I think they make the best nozzles in the world. But they always ordered them they ordered 5x25s or 5x30s or whatever they were,
and all the John Deere angle.
Right. And then they would actually rotate the injector in the head. If it was an IH, for an example,
they would just
reclock it and get as close as they can. But where we position the injector in the head to where we call it symmetrical. So with the A spray hole,
the number one
straight across,
between the valves,
and then Ridge will punch that into his CAD, and then we'll calculate each and every fifth the 5 spray holes, and so they spray perfectly in the piston. Depending on application, maybe tighter angles, maybe flatter angles, and it just depends. And piston design, like Ridge said.
So, well, one of my questions was, all right, so you've got a 525 nozzle, and the angle's not right. Can you correct that angle in the same nozzle, or do you have to have a different nozzle?
If we can't keep it at 25, once it's done, it's done. Sometimes like we can take that nozzle and let's say it's a 25, and we can increase it to like a 5x35 or 32 or something like that. But basically, once that hole is burned, it's burned. You can't change it.
So if you wanted still 25,000 holes, but your angle, you want a different angle, you'd have to go with a new nozzle.
Go with new nozzles. Yep.
And we do. It's a pretty common practice to increase spray hole size. If someone's jumping classes, or if they want to go bigger, we can. If the nozzles are in good shape and we're happy with them, we can increase the spray hole size. And then at that point, we can change angles accordingly. So, so we're capable of doing that as well.
So when you go to a more RPM engine, a higher RPM engine or something, does the angle get flatter or does it get tighter?
Tighter. Our common angles will be like either 145, 150, 155 degree or 160 degree. The 160 would be a flatter angle because that's the angle in relationship to the cylinder head, and then the 145 would be a tighter angle. It's even a more common practice, which we're starting to do now, is we're taking the 2 spray holes that spray towards the valve pockets in the pistons. We're now, like on some of these light pros now, we're finding success there where them guys, they want to run 55, 56 degrees in timing. And so we'll tighten up the B and the E hole, right? And we might leave the other ones alone, but we get tighter so they can run higher timing, so we're not spraying over the top of the valve pockets. So that's another thing that we've been doing more of as well. So
all right. So tell me what happens when one of the nozzles might be spraying at the valves instead of, we know if it gets outside the bowl, you're going to burn a piston. What happens if it sprays at the valve too much?
We need to get it down so it ain't spraying on the valve. I mean, that's where the increased nozzle protrusion helps too. You know,
Yep.
to get them spray holes away from the valves. And the other thing, I guess maybe we didn't point on either, all of our long shank nozzles, and they're made that way. We have the ends tapered. So because the deeper you get with the nozzle, you start to interfere with the intake valve mainly, because the intake valve is typically bigger. And
Yep.
You might have seen some people actually they used to just hand grind them, right?
Mhm.
And we would still see nozzles, but we'll actually have it. It's a nice machine taper at the end. Then it doesn't matter what cylinder the injector goes in, and so that's just a common practice now. We just do that in all of them.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So injectors are a big part of your business, and pumps, right? You know, but the injectors, you really have a lot. How many guys do you have working on injectors during the day?
Usually it's 2 or 3 at a time all day.
And that's
Yeah.
just assembly
That's
and
just
testing,
assembly.
and we
Yeah.
have usually a couple guys, two or three guys with the machine work.
Yeah.
Our injector business, since we bought out Columbus and we've been able to acquire that good tip, I'd say in the last 3 years has probably tripled.
Triple it.
Tripled.
Yep.
Yep.
So not only you do, pulling injectors, but you do injectors for farm tractors and other things too, right?
Right.
Uh,
Right. And that's something I guess we really didn't focus on through the whole tour, but we do everyday fuel system stuff as well. You know, stock injectors for stock tractors, trucks, stock injection pump work, and all that. We have implement dealers that send all their work to us. And so we still do a chunk of that. It used to be, I'd say, maybe 50-50. Now it's probably, just because of the volume of our pulling work is increased. The pulling work has increased.
Like 80%. to
Probably
20.
the stock stuff has kind of stayed the same,
Yeah.
but we're probably now 80% pulling performance and maybe 20% stock.
And you attribute that to buying Columbus and now making your own injectors and.
Yeah, you mean several things. You know, buying out Midwest Machine, which I think we're going to cover in the next clip. By acquiring Midwest Machine, which we'll talk more about that, and then next week, Columbus Diesel, and doing our own thing, just us growing. And I think the combination of everything there just really kind of allowed us to really accelerate, I guess, at that point.
Yep.
And maintaining and keeping good technicians. I mean, this whole tour, you know, I think we have 21 full-time employees, you know, between all. I mean, I think you interviewed probably 25 people, Greg, you know.
Right.
And
it was a lot.
You know, and a lot of those people have been here, several since day one, and quite a few over 10 years. And it's keeping these people. And the one thing I should emphasize, which maybe you don't just find someone that works in this industry. So a lot of our guys, you know, we started from the ground up, but we train, we teach, you know, just like Maddie, Greg, you know, that's a good example.
Yep.
Maddie came here with no knowledge about what we're even doing. And
Yep.
there's a good example of where we just taught her, and she's a sponge. She listens, she enjoys it. And to the point now, at the 2 years that she's been here, she's able to help customers out in a lot of cases from start to finish, maybe with a little bit of help from me or Drew or Chris or whatever. But that's what we do. We train our people, and we train them to be what we want them to be. So
Right. And then the girls out front, they have to learn a little bit about everything.
right.
Right.
Well, and it is, and that's where Carolyn right now. And I tell Carolyn, I said, just hang in there, because it's kind of hard. You know how it is, Greg. You know, some of these guys pull and they don't want to talk to her. You know, they want to talk to me or whatever. But we resist that as much as we can, and over time, again, going back to Maddie, she wins those customers over. Now they want to talk to her. They don't want to talk to me.
She's a hell of a lot cuter than you.
But that's right. But that's the whole goal, you know, and that's what we're trying to build our business. And Ridge is now getting more involved with working with customers, and that's what we need, you know. And where I'm not invisible, but I've become a little bit more, you know, not as
And
available.
you have to help with the R&D stuff too, right? You're
R&D
in
is just the everyday stuff that goes on here. It's so I'm running around all day long, and working with customers and whatnot. But it just depends. But we're trying to cross train so we have a well-rounded team from front to back. If I'm not here, if Jenny and I want to go on vacation, which we never go on vacations, which we're going to start though. When we leave, I want this. I don't want any hiccup. I just want things to keep going smooth. If someone's on vacation, there's someone there to back that person up, and that's
good unless it's Sunday.
Exactly.
Rich won't be there on Sunday.
No, that's veto.
I
got to
come out here
and work, Greg, and get into work. Thought that was
He's usually with my kids, so I know.
He's to blame. One of them to blame, but that was part of the agreement. Yeah,
right.
Verbal,
right.
Right.
So, well, I want to get about Farley, Iowa. You had some equipment out there running your pumps on some of the tractors and stuff too, and they did well, right?
Yep, they did. We didn't take home the big prize, I guess, but we had quite a few in the finals there. And one of our setups actually won one of the sessions in the 4-1. So, it was pretty exciting. We live streamed it and pretty impressed. Pretty fun pull to watch. Good track and that's pretty neat. But like I said, as we've grown, we're starting to. It's nice when you get the best of the best and we can start counting tractors with our products, which is pretty cool. That's a feel good for us, obviously.
Right. Just to know your stuff is out there running with everybody else's and maybe even being better.
Right. And there's other good, and the one thing that there's other, obviously you got our competitors, and we don't downplay our competitors. Matter of fact, I'm friends with most of them. We work, back and forth and we talk and whatever. And, we compete against each other, but at the same time, it's like it's friendly competition, right? Kind of.
Right. Right.
And if it is what it is. And there's other good stuff out there, but in a lot of cases though, we have customers that may have our pump and they may have someone else's injectors or vice versa. We have a lot of injectors out there and maybe a pump, injection lines. We do a ton of injection lines, pre-bent lines, which you'll get into. I think that's probably next week too, Greg, when they cover that.
And a guy who goes to the dyno might put your injectors on somebody else's pump and it works better, or vice versa. Your pump on somebody else's injectors. They go to the dyno. Whatever combination is working the best is what they're going to run.
Yep, correct. Combination and tuning them in. I always tell a customer, just don't drop them in and make one pass and feel like that's your. At that point, I tell them, stop, give me a call. What do you got? Where our setup may like 5 more degrees of timing, and on these, like on a 4-1, 5 degrees of timing could be 300 to 400 horsepower.
Right.
It's big. There's some adjustments there, but so we always say that, and I think typically with our injectors, by the time the dust settles, more often than not, they stay on the tractor is what we're seeing.
Yep.
So.
Kurt Kirstein was just on there picking on you. You know that.
I saw that. Hey, Kurt.
Oh,
okay.
Classmate of ours. Yep.
Yeah. Like father, like son. Okay. Yeah.
I've got Remco here. Did you see some of Dennis's stuff out in Farley, or did you know who was running water?
I did not know.
You did not?
No.
Yep. But you were in Farley, and then how was the pool there?
The pool was awesome.
It was awesome, and the Badger State guys, I think, did really well there, right?
Yeah. The Badger State's area has been represented quite well over there.
Yep. We had two two-wheel drive trucks when we went out there, and they both made the finals. And I think they were in the lead for a little while, right? Dennis, did you watch two-wheel drive trucks too?
I think so.
Won in the qualifier, didn't he?
Yeah, I think Scott here did win the qualifying round, right?
Yeah.
Right on Thursday night, but I thought maybe I'm wrong. I heard this secondhand. I didn't get to watch. We were up in Seymour and Mackville, and we kind of got to watch stuff at the end. But
oh, sure, yeah,
miss it. But they both did well. And in Limited Pro, John Coots and Mike Gerlach are both guys that work with you, right?
Yep.
Yep. And they were in the finals, and I don't know if.
Gallitz was in there, and we had quite a few other stuff in the finals too. Whether it be just injectors or pumps or whatever. And some of our,
you know, what's kind of interesting for us, I mean, for an example, you know, we'll send products out to dynos and we don't necessarily know where they land, you know.
Yeah.
So these tractors, and all of a sudden I hear through the grapevine, oh yeah, he's got your pump and injectors on. It's like, oh, okay. I mean, so there's that goes on too. And some people are kind of secretive that way, where they don't want people to know that it may be our pump, our injectors, you know, and I respect that, you know, and if that's the case, we respect that, and we don't advertise that, but, you know, but many of our customers are, you know, are open about it, and that's okay too. So it's just,
Right.
so.
But yeah, I'm the same way. If I find something that works, I'm not telling anybody about it. I haven't phoned it yet, but
Yeah, right.
Right.
No, but yeah, it is. I mean, that's the way it is, right? But
Yeah.
you know, and it's hard for you then to say, yeah, this guy's running my stuff. He's kicking your butt.
Right.
You know? Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Tony McDonald, I see he took third in the finals.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Badger State tractor. I'd have to look at all the lineup now, but Badger State represented themselves well. So that's for sure.
Yep. James Geezy's giving you a little thumbs up. Dennis
All right. Thanks. James did well. There also, I think James took second in the
qualifier.
Qualifier.
I think, right? Yep.
So
yeah,
10th in the finals. So all right. Yeah. So then we've been working with James some too, which we're happy about that, and hopefully that continues, and we'll keep getting some more stuff on your tractor, James. We'll try.
Yeah.
Yep. Get that billet pump on his tractor.
No, there you go. Yeah.
Billet Sigma, right?
I'll say it identifies as a P pump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It identifies as 7100, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Right.
It's 2025. What are you going to do about it? So, yeah.
So you guys got to watch the limited pro class. Was it? I mean, it was tight. I mean, nobody. Did the track stay pretty consistent for everybody?
Yeah, that really amazed me. I've been to pools in America before, and compared to other tracks, you could see that the track was holding up quite very well until the end of the sessions.
Yep.
So that made competition equal for everyone that supported the squad of course.
Yep.
And it made some hell of a pass on some moments. Yeah.
Yep. So the limited pro, I heard it was when the sun was going down. Maybe it changed a little bit, but I mean, once the sun was down, it stayed consistent, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yep. And it was good dirt, and they took time. And look, what I did get to watch. They did a lot of work keeping the track nice for everybody. I don't know. Is that what you've seen, Dennis?
Yeah. No, the track was overall very good, very consistent. And let's face it, when you have a 25 tractor class, it's pretty tough, you know.
It is.
But I'd say for a 25 tractor class, that's the best I've ever seen a track hold up.
Yep.
Very good. Yep. They did a great job. I thought in the finals it got a little bit weird, where you had some guys really get out there, and then some good guys that didn't. The setup must have been really fussy on Saturday night, because you know you had some guys that are out there 20 feet ahead, and another one that made it seem like a good pass, and they were 20 feet back. So it was kind of a weird thing that night. But overall, no, it was a great track and
power track.
It was fun. It was fun to watch. You know, and the neat thing about these live streams now, they're getting better at it. You know. As far as the quality of the live stream and the announcing and things like that. And that's one thing that's impressed me. I mean, let's face it, a couple years ago, it was kind of sketchy, right, Greg? You know?
Yep. And it takes people to get to that level.
Right.
You know, one guy can't do it.
Right. Well, and it takes a lot of coordination between, if you got 6 or 7 people doing that everybody's got to be on the same page, you know, because you got one guy that's on that end of the track, another guy that's over here. And I thought it went, you know, there were a couple little glitchy things, but I thought all in all it was pretty good.
Right. It's hard. When I was watching guys with live mics, it was hard to hear a couple of them, but that's live, you know, so that's hard.
That's the one thing. If I were to say, we talked, because Ridge wore out the remote.
Yeah.
Because when the alcohols ran, the microphone must have been closer on that side of the track.
Yeah.
If on the TV, I mean, you just had to turn it down. It was that loud. And of course, then when the diesels pull, we want to hear the diesel.
So
that's the one. I was going to maybe mention that to say, you know, if they're going to set up a microphone, maybe have it closer to the
quieter side.
side of the track would make more sense. I don't know. But it was
good.
Yeah.
So
the only thing I know, Schultz has got a face for radio, not TV. Right? Did you see that part?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
he might be watching, but I gotta tell him he's got to stick with radio. You know Jason Schultz, right?
Yeah, I know him.
Yep.
Yep.
We all know him, right?
Oh yeah, he's a character.
Yeah. But I seen Craig Laddick posted something there that he said he had his Louisville set up all the way on the nose, and it's what it took, right?
Right.
You know,
right.
And that, you know, I could see that it was a good biting track. You know, Geezy Thursday night may have been the best track I've ever pulled onto.
Yeah. It took horsepower. James, you kept the tires spinning, but I think it's everything it wanted.
Yeah.
but there are a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong. No offense. It's just the way that track was, which was good. That's you got to gear up for it. You got to wait up for it and
test your horsepower.
Yeah, that's the way it is. So.
Yeah. Eric Wedenkamp, one of our sponsors, is picking on me right now. I had to hook one of the truck classes in Seymour.
Oh.
Be the hook guy. Yeah. I'm an old guy. I can't get that big hook way out there. It's heavy.
Oh, jeez.
I might not be able to make it all the time.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
right.
Dirk was picking on me. He had to put something on Facebook about it. You know.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
No, it's all fun. You know. Yep.
Yeah, I bet you your crankshaft was not happy, James.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing when we were watching live stream.
Yep. But like you said, it was one of the best pulls you've ever been to. You think, or pretty close?
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah, of course there were some bits and bobs to improve, but
yep, there always is.
There were always wishes to have. So that's you can see on every aspect of the pool that what the Simon's been doing over there, they're trying to do the best job they can do.
And they did. They're good guys, and they put on a heck of a show. I wish I could have went out there and competed myself, but you know, you have to go to you know, I'm part of Badger State. I've got to make sure that this stuff runs, and we're short of help the night we were up there. So
yep.
Obviously, because I had to hook trucks.
They're digging pretty low if they get ask you.
So. Yep, that is the bottom of the barrel when I.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did it a long time ago, but you got to give a lot of credit to the guys that do that.
That hook's
long. That hook is heavy, and if they don't back up close enough to the sled, that's a long reach to get that thing out there. Yep.
Right.
But we'll do whatever we have to do to make the show go.
Right. Absolutely.
Yep. And talking about having the mics on the quieter side of the track, away from the alcohols, maybe by the tractor side or something. That's a big deal. You know, that's something maybe they can think about too. You know, because I noticed that too after you said that.
I'm pretty sure we're not the only ones that said that.
Yep.
Yeah. But either way, it is what it is. We enjoyed the heck out of it. It was fun.
It was great.
We watched it every night. You know, so yeah.
Yep. Our Badger State live streams are coming along too. You know, they will get
absolutely. Yep. So
we need more help. You know, we need more help that know how to do it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Somebody that can work. You know, Ryan, you're great at it, but you need help. You know, and then we've got one. Bruce Dannenberg's daughter's helping, right, Ryan?
Yeah, she did great.
Yep. And she's that's what she's going to go to school for. She just graduated high school. She's going to school for it, and she's going to work with Ryan. And which you also teach the video stuff at the Oregon High School, right?
I'm in the IT department.
IT
so
department. Okay, but whatever.
I use that as a tool.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I think we'll get better at it. You know, we need, like we said, I like the things where they show the road, the guys driving out of the track. That was neat.
Yep.
You know,
yep.
And showing the faces and some of the interviews, and we just, you know, Emily's going to help with that this summer when she's there. Ours are going to get to that level. That's my hope.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah,
they did a good job.
That's going to be one way of getting some more revenue. And if the quality of these live streams are good, the better they get, the bigger audiences we're gonna get to. Mm-hmm. So,
right,
because it's fun. We had a blast.
Yep.
You know, sitting back watching the live stream. You know, and it's good quality.
Do you guys watch them in the Netherlands? Some of our videos, live streams at polls in America?
Every now and then, yeah.
Yeah.
When you got time, maybe not live afterwards, of course, because of the time difference.
Yep.
But, yeah, of course, it's always good to see what's going on this side of the pond.
Right, because I watch them over there sometimes just to see what's going on and see how things are different. You know, you learn, right? You learn what people do. You guys do a better job there, I think, grooming your track between tractors, but you spend more time on it.
Yeah, that's the big difference. If you want to have a fast pool, then I'm not saying you got corners, but in the Netherlands you have a lot of big tractor dealer sponsors, and they want to show not the smallest tractor, but the biggest one.
Yeah.
So they put the biggest tractor on the track.
Yep.
Which can't turn on the track.
Right. Right.
If you got a small one, it can turn on a track. It can turn on a dime, and it just works fast.
Right. So most of the shows I work with here, they want the show done in 3 hours.
Yeah.
They want it done in 3 hours. So if we have 60 hooks, you have to get each tractor down and everything done in 3 minutes each.
Mhm.
That's tough.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And that's the fairs do it. If you can't get it done in 3, they're going to cut a class, which lets somebody out, and you're not going to get, 3 hours is it. People only want to sit in their butts for 3 hours.
Yeah. After 3 hours, you see people walk up and leave, no matter what class is left. You see that. I would agree. It's the 3 hours. That's just the way us Americans are. We're too impatient, right?
Right.
I guess so.
In the Netherlands, it's different.
In Europe, it's 7 hours.
7 hours for an event, a pull in Europe.
Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah. How many hooks is that, you think?
It's a lot. That's a long day.
60, 70, so the same
60 or
amount.
70 hooks, about the same amount in 7 hours. We have to get that done in 3.
Wow.
People lose interest and they're gone.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And as a puller, I don't want to pull in the stands when in front of people, empty stands either.
Right.
No.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, guys watching this, please look at what they do in Europe for events too. And it's neat to watch. They're different, they don't have the big Q motors like we do, but you scream a lot more RPMs. Yep. A lot more RPMs.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fun to watch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tracks are a little bit different. The ground, the clay,
Yep.
different.
Always a pull-off.
Yep. There's always a pull off too, right?
Yeah.
But if you're going to spend 7 hours, you got plenty of time to cool it down. We don't have time to cool them down.
Right.
And then from what I can see, what's the big event going on over there now?
It wasn't that.
It was the Modest Power Weekend, which they were actually having a free live stream last weekend because of they sold out.
So they had a free live stream then.
Yeah.
They sold out. How many people were at that event?
Total of that whole weekend, 53,000.
53,000 people over the whole weekend, 3 days.
That's
So
pretty incredible.
15,000, 16, 17,000 people a day.
More.
Right.
Yeah.
More. Yeah.
More than
53,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. That's bigger than Louisville.
Chris Feller's over there right now.
Is he? Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or was. Or Ridge, you talked to him over there, didn't you?
I did. Yep. A little bit on
He
Saturday.
might have sold us a Sigma pump over there.
Yeah, maybe. So.
Yep. Craig Ladwig. Most promoters need to attend classes to improve track quality. Yes, we do. We have done track building classes at the fair convention. And we tell the promoters, and that's the biggest class or session at the fair convention.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hands down, there's twice as many people at the track building class than there is for whatever other class they teach.
Mm-hmm.
They want us to do that every 4 or 5 years, and we had Don Slama's handbook from his pull, but things have changed already since that was written.
Mm-hmm.
The guy said these tracks were good years ago. Well, a pro stock years ago was 1,200 horse.
Right.
Now they're pushing over 4,000 horse.
Mm-hmm.
They're tearing it up. You can't build it the same way.
Right.
Yep. And the tires are getting into it way better than they used to.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I
Yeah,
wanna
we
thank these
enjoyed
guys
the
for being here,
Netherlands-
a little bit of input. It was interesting hearing, I'd love to talk more about pulls in Europe too, but we're already 6 minutes over. But, but that's all right.
Well, there's
Well,
no
we
time.
enjoyed touring these guys, Greg. I mean, that was, as a matter of fact, it's an honor when we can get a group from another country that has the interest to come and see us. We respect that a lot, and we thank you guys for that. And I was really impressed. The one person from Germany had his camper here, and it had like the German license plates on. So how did he get his camper over here?
You did. Where'd you haul it into?
Halifax, Canada.
Halifax, Canada,
Road carrier.
and a road, yeah, a ship.
Road carrier.
Yep, yep. And then he was telling me because you're here for 3 months.
Yeah, 3.5.
3.5 months, and it was going to be $20,000 to rent a camper, right?
For 120 days rent, I must hold
Yep.
$20,000.
$20,000. He had his camper shipped here for $6,500.
Okay.
No, yeah, that makes sense. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And it's a beautiful camper.
yeah, it is. It's really nice. We can have
Yep.
some.
And then
didn't
and then
it?
you can put you got
Yeah.
your own bed and you can put all your stuff in there. You don't have to pay to ship your stuff over to that.
Yeah, exactly. Works out good.
If you buy something, you can ship it home in there. Yep. All good. And you go back to Canada for that, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we have pumps and injectors. We can load her up if you come back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yep. Injector. We might have to take some John Deere parts home.
Yeah, right.
Fiat.
Yeah, but that was fun today.
Don
Thanks,
Slava
guys.
hooked up
Thanks,
one of these
for
guys
coming
with some
in.
parts they can't get. Yep. Right?
What's that?
Don Slama, we called Don. They were looking for parts for a corn plant or a cedar over there.
Mm.
Yep. And they found the parts. And he sent them back with them.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
That's cool. Very cool.
Good deal.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Well, I want to thank some of our sponsors, Eric Wenkamp, obviously, Slom Enterprises, Trip Downing, Ed Casper, and Front Street Toys, Ed Castor. So I want to thank them guys for sponsoring. Without them, we couldn't do this. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I want to thank you, Dennis, again. We'll have you on next week again.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing each tour is going to be a different section of the business. So it'll be interesting. We'll start out with probably Dennis Mahoney next week, and then we'll kind of move on from there. And then eventually we'll get into more of the pump department, talk to all the guys. So it'll be pretty neat, and we'll see. I might even have next week. I might have Drew as part of this. Drew and Christopher possibly, and then so we'll see. We might shuffle some things around there too. Make it a little bit more interesting. Otherwise, people are going to get bored talking to us.
Yeah, right.
4 times in a row.
Well, look at John and
Bored
Stacy
talking
back
to you too, Greg.
Yeah, they're bored to listen to me too. I don't know.
So we'll try to bring some other people in the mix
Yeah,
here. So
right.
that's what I'm getting at.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
That's kind of what
Thanks,
our plan
everybody.
is. Actually, next week we have a UTV meeting anyway, don't we?
We do. A
So-
club meeting.
So I won't be joining next week, but I'll have my best. You might be here
Oh,
yet.
boy. All right. Yep.
Yeah, Ridge ain't up.
You'll have your best guy there, plus Ridge.
All right. I'll just stay punched in. It'll be fine. So, yep.
I should see if he's on the clock right now. You probably are.
Yeah. Never punched out.
All right. Well, Jenny will.
Right. Why would you?
Exactly. Right.
Light out.
It's overtime. Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Dennis, Jenny, and Rich.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you much.
Thank you,
See you
everybody.
next week.
We'll
All
see
right.
ya.
See you guys.
Yep. Thanks, guys.